Anther. Whoa! Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel today with a Q&A episode. I posted the Q&A sticker on Instagram, one public and one anonymous. And yeah, I split it up in two parts, wrote down at least what I thought are the most interesting questions. The first 8 questions are more private and business related questions. And then we also have a couple more training related questions at the end. Starting with some advertisement. As I told you in the last video, we still have some coaching spots open for March. That's still valid. We can work with 3 to 5 clients more this month. So make sure to schedule your free consulting call. Link is in the description. And then we're gonna work out how we can help you the best. The first question was what my biggest motivation for training is. And I thought a while about it, and I don't really think that I need that much motivation because training is so much integrated into my daily life and into my job, so that it's kind of a habit. And once it becomes a habit, you don't really need that much motivation. What still motivates me though in training is the concept of delayed gratification. I like the idea of working towards something and then, later in time being rewarded for it. And that's a pretty nice concept that you can learn with training. You can get better at it with training because you need to put in so much work to unlock a certain skill, to unlock a certain 1 rep max, to place good in the competition, and you're feeling exhausted, drained. You need to put in so much just for that upcoming reward in the future, and that teaches you a lot about life, and that's what I love about training. Question number 2. What's the biggest challenge you faced in growing your business? Very, very hard to answer because there are a lot of challenges and I haven't mastered business yet. So it's an ongoing growth process that we are all in that company here. And I think for me personally, the biggest challenge always is the confidence in my own abilities. Giving you an example, you have a very, very good month. For us, for example, that was like November, December. We had a new offer out there. We had a lot of sales, good calls. We made like record revenue that month. Like we earned a lot of money. And at the same time, while doing all the calls, onboarding all the clients, doing all that stuff, other stuff like marketing, YouTube, Instagram, writing with potentially new clients, that got a bit lost. And then you have that natural fluctuation. So you have very, very good months. And then due to all the daily work, the upcoming months are a bit lower, and not getting crazy in the not so good months and starting to rearrange everything, to question yourself. That is a very, very big challenge still for me, even though I know we're making our numbers, it's natural fluctuation, next month will be better. Still, it's not a bad month at all, but that drives me really, really crazy, and then really trusting in myself that that this works, what we're doing here. That's still a big challenge. Then second big challenge is always hiring people, because the moment you hire someone, you are responsible for someone. And I'm always pretty afraid of having too high overhead costs, meaning if you have like a payroll of 15,000 euros a month, which is like around 3 employees, then you also need to make at least those 15K a month. actually you need to make a lot more because you also need some backups and you need to pay rent, you need to pay programs, you need to pay a shitload of other stuff. And the higher your overhead costs are, the higher the lowest level of income is that you need to make every month. And that creates a lot of pressure to me, which I'm probably, which is one reason why I'm not sharing responsibilities that I could already share, why I'm not hiring more freelancers also that are doing certain jobs, because I try to keep overhead costs low, which is stupid because the more work I could give to other people, the more time I would have to create more content, create more marketing, get more leads for the coaching so we can, create more income and grow the business. But that's something I need to get better at and work on. And of course, always patience. Probably Lois is smiling at the moment because I'm having a lot of ideas and I'm changing my mind pretty often. And I'm not always having the patience to then really execute ideas to a detail where they need to be executed to be successful. And that's also a challenge and a problem sometimes. Lois, any other challenges?
Not
Business?
as far as I know.
Good. Question number 4. We have passion and hobbies outside of fitness. That's pretty easy to answer. I don't really have time for more hobbies and other passions. Like business and training is already so time consuming that to be as excellent as I want to be in those two fields does not allow me to follow other passions and other big hobbies. So no real other things going on in my life, except of course the standard things everyone needs to stay mentally healthy, which is quality time with your partner, your family, your friends, traveling, seeing the world, getting to know different cultures, different countries and all that stuff. But I wouldn't put that as a passion. I would put that as standard things to stay sane, basically. But when it comes to really to the main part of my life, it's training and business, which is also connected. And I want to be the best version in that I can be. And so there's no room for other stuff for me. Good. Next question. All the English-speaking people can skip it because it's a German question. And it's also kind of Germany related, at least to a certain degree, so I will answer it in German. Und die Frage ist, oder jemand hat gefragt, wie mache ich mich als Trainer selbstständig? Zuallererst würde ich da gerne so ein bisschen was über meine Historie erzählen. Ich habe mich nie bewusst dazu entschieden, Trainer zu werden. Deswegen kann ich dir jetzt nicht erzählen, wie grandios mein Plan damals war und wie toll das alles funktioniert hat. Was ich dir aber im Anschluss sagen kann, ist, worauf ich jetzt achten würde, was mir jetzt wichtig wäre, wenn ich den Weg nochmal gehen würde. Bei mir war es damals so, ich hatte mehr oder weniger Glück, dass es halt mit Instagram gut lief. Ich habe relativ früh mit dem Weighted Calisthenics Content angefangen und das war damals einfach noch eine große Sache. So, wenn man da 100 Kilo dippen konnte, war man der King. Und so kam es, dass ich dann da relativ schnell Reichweite aufbauen konnte. Dann hatte ich auch noch mehr Glück. Dann hatte der Fitness-FAQs, Grüße gehen raus an Daniel, auch mal ein Video gemacht mit 10 Athleten, denen man unbedingt folgen muss auf Instagram. Und da war ich dabei, was mir auch noch mal deutlich mehr Reichweite gegeben hat. Und dann hatte ich halt angefangen, Trainingsprogramme zu verkaufen. Das lief dann relativ erfolgreich und dann haben die Leute angefragt, mich zu fragen, ob ich denen nicht auch personalisierte Programme schreiben kann, also die trainieren kann. Und wurde also ein bisschen in diese Trainerrichtung reingeschoben. also auf Anfrage. Ich habe mich jetzt nie bewusst dazu entschieden, Coach zu werden. Und so kam das bei mir, dass ich mich dann immer mehr in diese Richtung entwickelt habe. Das hat mir gefallen. Dann ging es halt los, dass die Programming-Klienten sozusagen bessere Ergebnisse hatten als die Klienten, die nur das King of Weighted-Programm gekauft haben und dann immer mehr weiterentwickelt, gebildet, besser geworden, bessere Ergebnisse geliefert. Und so ist dann die Company draus entstanden. Das heißt, das kam alles mehr oder weniger mit der Zeit und auch zufällig und auch mit viel Glück. Ne? Wenn ich jetzt mit dem, was ich heute weiß, nochmal neu starten müsste, was wären die Tipps? Ich habe mir ein bisschen was aufgeschrieben hier. Das allererste, was ich machen würde, ist mich auf ein Problem bzw. eine Zielgruppe festlegen und ein oder mehrere Probleme finden, die ich mit meinen Fähigkeiten lösen kann. Sei es jetzt Leuten beim Abnehmen helfen, Leuten beim Muskelaufbau, jetzt wirklich ganz grob gesprochen, beim Muskelaufbau helfen oder wie wir Leuten beim Erlernen von Skills und bei Weighted Calisthenics zu helfen. Dieses Problem löst du und diese Fähigkeiten, die du dazu brauchst, in denen musst du so gut wie möglich werden. Das heißt, am Anfang setzt du alles daran, der beste Problemlöser in deiner Nische zu werden. Das ist das Wichtigste, weil nur wenn du ein guter Problemlöser bist, kannst du geile Ergebnisse liefern, du kannst deine Kunden überzeugen und wenn du deine Kunden überzeugst, dann werden auch immer neue Kunden folgen. Also der erste Schritt, ein Problem finden, was du lösen kannst und in dieser Lösung extrem gut werden. Dann weiter mit dem Marketing. Es ist ganz wichtig, die Leute aufzuklären, dass dieses Problem existiert. Du musst also Awareness für dieses Problem schaffen. Wenn du dir zum Beispiel unser Marketing anguckst, wir fokussieren uns sehr stark darauf, Probleme im Sport, Risikofaktoren im Sport, Potenziale im Sport sichtbar zu machen, dass die Leute verstehen, das ist möglich, das ist ein Problem, das kann passieren, wenn. Und dann bieten wir gleichzeitig dazu die passende Lösung an. Das heißt, unser Marketing ist im Endeffekt auf Probleme und Potenziale den Scheinwerfer drauf zu richten und dann zu sagen, wir können dir helfen, genau das zu erreichen oder genau dieses Problem zu lösen. Und das funktioniert sehr gut, das heißt, das kann ich auf jeden Fall empfehlen. Und der letzte Punkt ist, weiß ich jetzt nicht, ob das für das schnelle Geld so wichtig ist, aber das ist was mir persönlich extrem wichtig ist. Und das ist beweisen, dass du das Geld wirklich wert bist, was deine Kunden zahlen. Wir machen sehr viel dafür und bemühen uns extrem, immer over zu performen. Das heißt, wenn jetzt ein neuer Kunde kommt, wir den geonboardet haben, dann wollen wir, dass diese Experience die bestmögliche ist. Gerade Coaching hat viel negative Behaftung noch, es gibt viele schwarze Schafe. Und wenn jemand dir viel Geld dafür bezahlt, dass du ein Problem löst, dann erwartet derjenige auch, dass du dieses Problem löst. Und das muss dir immer bewusst sein. Und da solltest du wirklich alles dran setzen, da voll Gas zu geben und die Erwartung zu übertreffen, weil das dann so eine Positivspirale nach sich zieht. Dann gibt es sehr gute Bewertungen. Wenn du bei uns guckst, wir haben 55 Bewertungen auf Trustpilot, sind alles 5 Sterne. Nichts davon ist gekauft, alle in regelmäßigen Abständen kommen neue dazu. Warum sind das so viele? Warum sind alles 5 Sterne? Weil wir das bei jedem Kunden knallhart durchziehen und immer probieren, innerhalb unserer Möglichkeiten da das Beste rauszuholen und aus unserer Ansicht nach mehr zu geben, als sogar gebucht wurde, sozusagen. Und das ist extrem wichtig, gerade wenn du ein nachhaltiges Geschäft aufbauen willst. Weil gerade im Coaching-Business wirst du den Großteil deines Geldes über Bestandskunden verdienen, die dir vertrauen, die immer länger mit dir bleiben, die mehrere Coaching-Zyklen bei dir buchen, weil die Zusammenarbeit so gut funktioniert und weil das Vertrauensverhältnis einfach sehr gut ist. Das wäre da mein Tipp, wie das so gewachsen ist und wie ich quasi nochmal neu anfangen würde oder dir empfehlen würde, neu anzufangen. Und da war noch der zweite Teil der Frage war, ob man direkt ein Gewerbe anmelden soll. Wenn du direkt arbeiten willst als Trainer, musst du das machen. Das geht aber online, kostet 25 € oder so. Ich kann es jetzt nur von Berlin sagen, ist auf der berlin.de Seite gibt es so ein Formular, das füllt man aus und dann geht das zum Gewerbeamt, dann kriegst du deinen Gewerbeschein, fertig ist. Also das geht online, ganz easy. Good, that was the German part. Now, question number 7 was one of the anonymous questions, and that is the last time I cried. And that's also pretty easy to answer. It's not long ago. It was when the family dog died. That was pretty emotional, and yeah, there I cried, of course. And yeah, that's about that question. Then question number 8, top songs Spotify. I don't know how many you wanted to have, so I just took the first 3 of my most listened songs from the last 6 months. And number 1 was Push It by Luciano. Track number 2 was Clash by Stormzy. And number 3, again, Luciano with On My Way. So that were my 3 top songs. Now let's go over to the training part of the Q&A. Question number 1. Should I use a false grip or no false grip with competition pull-ups? And also pretty easy to answer. It's a yes and a bit of a no. So when you look at what the false grip can provide you, or a semi-false grip, because an actual false grip is where you place the bony part of your wrist on the bar, that is forbidden, so you can't use that anyway. But let's take a look at what the false grip can get you on advantages for your competition. When you're going into a false grip, you are shortening your forearms. That means you're cutting range of motion, like vertical range of motion, to bring your chin over the bar, and that is a big surplus because the hardest part is vertical range of motion. The only thing you need to be careful is that if you're an athlete that goes with a pull-up and a pretty narrow grip, because then the false grip also creates horizontal distance to the bar. And if you're grabbing pretty narrow with a very strong false grip, you need to flare the elbows out a lot. So take at front view. So pretty small grip on the pull-up, false grip. And now if I want to bring my chin over the bar, I have a lot of distance here, so I can't bring the chin horizontally over. And to bring it over, you need to flare the elbows and then shrug over. And that can cause some harm in the shoulder. It's not that stable. It's also very, very hard to maintain that position. So in that case, probably no false grip is the better option. If you have like regular to wide grip pull-ups, then definitely false grip should be the stronger and superior technique for you. Then question number 10, is a supported dip machine good? So I assume it's that machine where you have this pad where you can put a counterweight and then you basically decrease your own body weight by that counterweight. And yeah, these machines work pretty good. Usually they have 3 disadvantages though. The first one is they usually have a super wide grip. So especially for smaller athletes, female athletes, these grip widths are way too wide and you need to flare the elbows out a lot, which makes it hard to stabilize your shoulder. That's one downside. Second downside is these machines are often designed in a way that when you would want to lean a bit forward, that you don't have much distance to really bring your chest down, because then you would bang your head against the machine. That's one downside. And third one is, as your knees are fixed on that pad, your hip can't move horizontally. And especially with bodyweight dips, if you want your center of mass to move up and down, hip needs a bit of range to move backwards on the downward movement and then a bit forward on the positive part. That's also not possible. So it can feel kind of like a forced movement, but it's still a solid machine that you can use. Just want to make you aware that it has some downsides. What are good alternatives? Is just dip against the resistance band. In comparison to pull-ups with a resistance band, with dips, the band matches the natural resistance profile of the dip pretty good, because the dip will be heavy on the bottom, and this is where the band will support you the most. So it's a pretty good match here, and dips against the band are a very nice regression to start with. Good. Then question number 11 was about interset stretching. So if you should go for a training set and then stretch in the pause and then go back to the training set. I think there was a Dorian Yates style of training. And the good thing is there was, I think it was last week or this week, a newsletter by Stronger by Science and a new article. Also definitely a recommendation from my side if you're interested in sports science. Just go and get that newsletter. It's for free anyway, and it's very, very interesting. And yeah, conclusion was probably not worth the effort. So there was, at least in what they tested in that study, there was a bit more hypertrophy with that interset stretching, but very little. So yeah, probably not worth the effort. Then question number 12, come back to training after 2 months of injury. And as I don't know what kind of injury that was and why it prevented you completely from training, I tried to generalize my answer as much as possible. And I want to give you 4 steps that you can do to go back to your training. And everything starts with the old program. So you ended somewhere with your training before, so you know what worked in the past, you know roughly which intensities, which volume, which exercises you want to do and which you did in the past, and that is the foundation of what we're starting from. So you basically take your old program, but first thing I want you to do is I want you to give yourself at least 1 block, so a time frame of 4 to 6 weeks, where you progressively accumulate practice and training volume before you start on your old level. That means I want you to start with your main lift roughly at an RPE 3 to 4, so very, very low, and then you progressively, week by week, increase those RPE by 1 or maybe even 2 points, so that you progressively build up intensity. You need to do that to always make sure to not be super sore, to not cause any harm, and to not get into an overloading state right at the beginning, so that you can really progressively increase your performance over week. With volume increments, simple rule, if the volume that you trained caused no pain, then you can increase it. If the volume or the training that you did kept the pain level on the same level as you initially started, then you keep the volume the same, so no changes. And if the pain got worse, you need to decrease it. And with that, you can kind of auto-regulate yourself week by week. And the last thing I want you to do is, of course, include the rehab work that you need to speed up the recovery process. And with those 4 steps, I'm sure you can come back pretty fast. Whereas fast is the wrong word. You can come back pretty sustainable, which is way more important than doing it fast. And last question for today, as I don't want to stretch that too much today, is what can I do against wrist pain in muscle-ups? I don't really know what kind of wrist pain you have, so also here I try to put the answer in pretty general terms, and that is substitute muscle up for high pull-ups or high pull-up variations that don't load your wrist, because you can remain adapted to explosive strengths, to the most part of that range of motion by just working with high pulls, which hopefully then you can do pain-free. That would be one thing. And the other thing is, if it's really just small pain, maybe wrist wraps will already solve the issue. Just getting some external support to the wrist might already be enough to overcome that pain. Of course, also rehab work, but I don't know which rehab work as I don't know what the problem is. But yeah, I hope that solved some of your problems, that put some light in the dark. And if you have any upcoming questions for future Q&As or just for the comments, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And then see you in the next video, guys.